showtime. Dynamite Download.
Welcome to Dynamite Download, your source for positive coverage of all elite wrestling.
This is what pro wrestling feel like.
I told you guys, positive energy.
I think that created a little moment in itself.
You're saying I have a better record than Kenny Omega and Samoa Joe, and now I'm going to have to wrestle them.
Super kick, hot tag!
I've never seen someone able to break down like wrestling like he does.
That punk, that long-haired hippie freak.
My real story does connect with a lot of people.
So that you need to be careful in the locker room.
I definitely think that women's wrestling has been elevated.
And with the loss of Brody, I feel like we were just kind of a little bit directionless.
I was like deep diving into like cults.
Raw horse.
Raw horse?
Oh my god!
Amazing.
I had to smack him around a few times to fully gain his respect.
You said that in front of the voice of a generation?
Versus Frankie's match.
Awesome.
This podcast is, quite frankly, the drizzling shit, if I'm being quite honest.
The day spread positivity about AEW.
Welcome to Dynamite Download.
What up? What up, everybody?
What is up? Sorry, everybody, for the delay. That was Fashionably Friday, SPD being a little bit late, coming straight from work. But thank you. What's up? It's Friday, yeah. Saturday, Sunday. What? Friday night fights and flights. Cheers to that, brother.
Cheers, my friend. This ain't water.
How you doing, man?
I'm doing very well. I'm recovering. I've had the plague this week, and it's just really knocked me. I felt like Darby Allin versus the Mucinex man. And I've been thrown around the ring. I got steel chaired on Monday. Actually, it all started last weekend, and I've just been fighting it ever since. But see, I got Moxley Mucinex here, not an official sponsor, but they're the sponsor this week. And it's been getting me back on track. It's also been a kind of I'm in a good mood, but it's been pretty dark around the Burden household. Deb is in mourning, as many of you know. Deb is a AEW widow tonight, and she's having a hard time with it. Now, I am wearing my Powerhouse Hobbs shirt, as I will continue to call him. I'm not going to call him Big Willie style or whatever, but I want to just go out on and say he is a prime example of how all of this should be. He's leaving AEW on very, very good terms. He's doing what is he's testing waters outside. He's doing what's in his best interest. You got to do that. You got to go test the waters. It shakes everything up. See how things go. Who knows? 3 to 5 years, he may roll back in AEW. Might be sooner than that. He might be an Andrade situation, which I doubt. I do think he will rise. He will find a way to rise faster.
Cream always rises to the top.
The cream, it always rises to the top. And we'll talk more about it, but I'm feeling better, but Deb's having a hard time with it.
Well, we'll touch that on a little bit later again, but at the same time, I always want to say last night's show because we're usually on Thursdays, but today is Friday night fights and flights. We needed a little extra day. And so Maximum Carnage, man, it was I got to say that arena style was really cool. A typical amphitheater concert venue like that, that's kind of how Daly's place is set up in a way, but it's not, because it's not a 360 like most of the things. But I thought that it was a jam-packed crowd, really cool crowd. I liked how they played different matches with the crowd. The opening one with Darby and Pac, and then with MJF and Bandito playing in the crowd, jumping over the barricade, and incredible stuff. But Maximum Carnage felt like a big show. I had to have my mid-show meal with the tuna fish and peanut butter, the Murder Hawk special there. And I got to say, I haven't really revisited the tuna fish and peanut butter in a while, but, you know, I'm hotel living right now for the next week and a half, and this just happened to be kind of in my stash. And I was like, why not? Let's just do it. Let me get a little extra protein, a little extra tuna and peanut butter. And honestly, that tuna fish peanut butter Murder Hawk special was not too bad. Again, revisiting it, I might have to bring it back into one of my go-to protein snacks.
The spicy tuna makes it, I think, to me. And you got to get the right kind of peanut butter too.
Sure.
You can't skimp on the peanut butter. Yeah, so that looks like a good combo. The one thing the one thing I won't go with the Murder Hawk on, of course, is the raw horse. I don't think I could do. I can't eat Seabiscuit. I just can't. But
you know, my wife and I were walking with our friend who performed in Japan for a long time, for like a year contract at Universal over there. And he told us, before I even mentioned Murder Hawk's comments in our interview, that he had raw horse and he enjoyed it. Said it was very good. And so I'm curious. I'm more curious now to try it. I will always try a certain food or new foods as long as I'm with someone who's like introducing it to me.
Yeah.
You know, like when I went to China many years ago, it was just my wife and I, and we're walking the streets and they have like seahorses on a stick, scorpions on a stick, like earthworms and like all this just disgusting stuff on a stick. And I'm like, I'm not going to just go be that bold and just try it out of the blue, something nasty like that. And also, like, if you ever watched that, I think it wasn't Man vs. Food, or it was like Bizarre Foods, I think it was, if you with Anthony, or not Anthony Bourdain, but Bizarre Foods. He goes, if it looks good, eat it. And so Bizarre Foods was a cool show I really liked.
Well, there's some stuff that looks terrible that it's pretty good, and there's stuff that looks good that can be terrible. So I don't know if I agree with that axiom, but yeah, I'm willing to try anything once, and that's the thing I learned with sushi was. When I was growing up, I always thought sushi. I was like, how can you like sushi, raw fish? And then I tried. Of course, a lot of times it depends on where you first try something. And I tried sushi at a really good place, and it was fantastic. Because I've had bad sushi before, and it's gas station sushi. You don't want.
Yeah, you don't want that.
Yeah, I'm willing to try anything once, and I've found some of my favorite foods that way. I've also discovered some pretty nasty things too that I'll never try again. But there you go. But yeah, good stuff. And what a good way to kind of peanut butter and tuna fish are kind of describe Darby and Pac.
Good segue.
A lot of protein and wow, definitely memorable.
Gosh, man. Well, a lot of protein. We'll call that for Pac, and get thrown around like a fish in a market, as in Darby. There we go. We brought it all together. Great way to start the show. Typical Darby matches. You know, this is why we love Darby, and Darby is who he is. You know, every match is always something different, something non-traditional. But on the other side of the coin, it's always cringeworthy of just the abuse. I've never seen a Darby match where he hasn't done something where it's like, okay, this could end your career. And it's a shame that we have to think that, but it's like, I don't know how he can continue to withstand certain punishments time and time again. And I know he's still a relatively young kid, but man, I just feel bad for what's in store down the line for what he's going to reap with it. That being said, this match was really, really fun from the opening, not bell, but opening, meeting of the two, tearing it all in the crowd, and the back and forth, and then the heavy offense, obviously by Pac, and then everything, the selling of the ankle. People are saying that he actually broke his ankle, and then the finish, man. It was a great fought match. Great opening match to set the tone for Dynamite, Maximum Carnage on Wednesday. How did you feel about this back and forth? And are you handling just that brutal belly to belly back suplex on the steps? Oh gosh, I cringed on that one.
Yeah, that's the thing about Darby. It's like what's next? He's going to set himself on fire while he breaks his back on concrete or something. It's like what's next to this guy. I will say this. I was as worried for Pac. I was actually more worried for Pac than I was for Darby, because how injury prone Pac has been in the past, and the last thing I want to see is him, get re-injured in some way.
Exactly.
And he has changed. We've noticed this. He has changed his arsenal, if you will, his moveset, if you will. I guess best way to describe it's like if you've ever played either WWE or Fight Forever on AEW, he's kind of changed his go-to moveset a little. He's much more a grounded wrestler. He's not doing the aerial stuff as much. It's not that he doesn't still do it. We've seen that Black Arrow.
Mm-hmm.
But he was selling that leg. He was legit selling that leg. And I really, it sold the ending for me. I thought that this was a much better thing. Of course, Wheeler Yuta continues to just deliver the most useless run-in I've ever seen. But that's Wheeler Yuta. It works for him. It only gains heat, for this guy. And I mean, Wheeler Yuta is, again, he's one of my secret favorite heels because he just embraces it. I don't see Darby's feud with the Death Riders done so much unless the plan is unless the Death Riders plan now is to do a civil war in between them. That might be what's coming. And who knows, we might see Moxley and Darby versus a couple people in Death Riders. That'd be pretty interesting.
Well, and we see that one option, or we have had those seeds planted and started to water with the Callis family stuff.
Yeah.
And as we're seeing the Callis family grow, it's going to have multiple enemies, multiple feuds, multiple spiderwebs coming out. You anywhere from the Elite and Kenny Omega to FTR. I don't know how they're going to be involved in this. And then, and now potentially Death Riders. So it's always fun. That's the cool part about Callis getting so many people, and now he's gonna have so many enemies and all that. But this one, the selling by Pac and the ankle injury and the coffin drop on the chair and the ankle, like he sold it so good, like in the sense, hopefully we're breathing a breath of fresh air, like he's actually isn't legit hurt, because of that.
I basically this match I was Darby and Pac was this plague I've had this week. And the only way I was able to get out was just by sheer will and squeezing the dude's leg and squeezing every last drop of Mucinex that I could. And that's what got him out. But that's a good, again, that's Darby getting thrown around, getting beat up, but then still taking advantage of it. That's, I don't want to say it's textbook because that sounds dismissive, like it's like we've seen it before, because we have, but it still is Darby and Pac. I mean, this was exactly what we should have expected. I don't think anybody. I kind of knew Darby had to win this match because it was essentially he had to check that box, and I think now maybe they're moving on, but we'll see. But it was a great first match of the night, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. Set the bar really high, and it was very well told story.
Yeah, and
the standby match. Well, actually, there was two standby matches.
Yeah, one of the standby matches I didn't even grab a graphic for because it's just there
was no graphic for these standby matches even.
No, I mean the John Cruz.
Oh yeah. Well, let's talk about this interesting moment. Was very cool as a fan to have Swerve, Hanger, and Kenny all in the ring at the same time. 3 former champs looking to regain their gold.
Yeah.
And you could see the smirk on Hangman's face when Kenny gets in the ring and they're sharing the ring. And wow, this is I feel like the title chase feels so much bigger right now than it has been in a long time. Typically you got one guy kind of chasing it for a while, like Hangman was chasing it for so long with Moxley. Now there's a lot of big guys chasing it. These 3 guys throwing their name in the ring. Brody King kind of making a call for it as well.
Yep.
So having all these big name stars / former champs, put their target on the back of MJF and whoever's holding the world title is really cool. It's really elevating the main event scene a lot. Yeah. And so now, like, what's next for MJF? Who knows? We'll touch base a little bit about that afterwards. But wow, I'm excited for this. going on. And of course, speaking of the Callis family, having their fingers and their hands in every single cookie jar involving every single feud pretty much because the guys are so deep. It's going to be fun. Alexander versus Kenny is going to be such an awesome match next week. And then I hopefully will get that eventual Andrade Kenny Omega match. And I like that he planted this seed wanting the title, but honestly, and he's like, I'm going to pick up wins and earn my spot. So I'm fine with Kenny having that ultimate goal, but in the meantime, settling some scores, having some banger matches, having some great side feuds, leading him to the ultimate MJF battle.
And that's a great way to explain why you're not losing sight of the title, but it explains why Kenny and the other guys are going to be having these other feuds, other matches, because this is why I kind of like the rankings, and I think that I wish they were back, but I think the error was just you got to refresh them after every major pay-per-view. Not every pay-per-view, but every like the 4 pillars: Revolution, Full Gear, Double or Nothing, All In. Have those
4-time reset, the quarterly reset.
But it explains why Kenny's going to have a match with Andrade. It explains why Hanger might go a different route, which we're going to talk about later. Explain why Swerve might get into a feud with somebody else. I'd love to see a Swerve Kyle Fletcher feud, perhaps. There's a lot of different things. And you said, what I like was those were the 3 babyface belt chasers, but you do have the Kyle Fletchers. You do have these other guys that can be in the chase, and it's great to see.
Okada.
But exactly, I do like the explanation. It makes sense, and I'm all for it. Let's have it. Let's go. And of course, as my better half says, the more Kenny on her screen, the better. And we definitely, AEW definitely needs to cheer my baby up, because she's and like I said, she's in mourning. Her boyfriend is leaving the company.
Well, this is like we touched on last year, like the old feeling, the nostalgic, and this is it. Like Kenny back on the screen, Kenny inserting himself in the main event, having epic pyros and everything, and then hopefully we'll eventually see an Acclaimed reunion as well. We saw them do the jet speed scissors too, so we'll see. Like all these feel good moments. We're revisiting them, but it's what we loved about AEW, during its rise. And so to have Kenny at the top and people like the Young Bucks back babyface, and maybe the acclaimed Jurassic, we saw Jurassic Express reuniting. So like all these things are like, yes, we've done them, but we love them. So give the people what they want.
Got to give the people what they want.
Yeah. And then, Callis, I'm really, as Alexander on my team, I'm excited to see this match. Kenny's no way he's losing, but I really have enjoyed Alexander being in the Don Callis family. And at first I was never that big of a fan of his, but he won me over with his work ethic in AEW.
Yeah.
But speaking of Callis family, again, every segment has something to do with the Callis family. The 4-way for the tag team title shot. I was hoping this would be the result, but I didn't think it would happen because of the heel versus heel type of element. But I was like, Doyle and Davis, which I love the name Doyle and Davis. It kind of works, and everything like that. And I think these guys look like absolute hosses, and I love the pairing of them. They had an outstanding night, and just all 4 teams. This was like a reminder and a resurrection of the tag team division. I loved it. They need to do more of this when there's no clear challenger for the tag team. Give us like the tag team battle royal. Give us, a tag team 4-way, whatever, just so you can be reminded of who's in the division, and reintroduced and introduced to a new team. So, but the Young Bucks, as much as I wanted them to win and face the FTR, which is absolute pure gold money feud, draw that out, because FTR is not losing the titles anytime soon. So let us have that moment drawn out a little bit more, or give us Cope and Cage versus them.
Well, Yeah, and there's going to be a little bit of scuttlebutt about Copen Cage coming up later, but my fear was that they were going to pull the trigger on the Young Bucks early. I'm with you on the draw it out. I didn't want the Young Bucks to win because I think it's too soon to run that back. I think they're young. That needs to take place later. I would have been fine with any of the teams winning. I think I was actually wondering if this was going to be some way of turning Jet Speed around, because they were actually they had been losing so much as a team for so long. Yeah, now suddenly this is going to give them that option. Now, what I did like was the Bucks made everybody look great in this. Also, I love that the GOA, part of the demand, are looking so good. Now they are the tag team equivalent of when Swerve went from kind of middle card tag team guy to main event guy. When he's now title picture, they're no longer seen as there's another tag team. They're legit contenders. They belong in the ring with these other talents. And I'd love to see a GOA FTR match at some point. That would be brutal. Toa Leona, I know, we continue to speak on the praises of Toa Leona, and he definitely shined in this match. I think we both agree that dude was just carrying everybody like he was. May
not be in our top performer of the night.
Could be. I would. He's definitely on the short list for mine. But I always want to make sure that Bishop Khan gets his kudos too, because he was awesome in this match as well. And I don't want to say he gets overshadowed by Toa Leona, because Toa Leona is such a beast, but Bishop Khan is such a great tandem for him, and he is such a powerhouse as well. And he's quick, he's agile, and he's also a power player. And so both of them look fantastic. Jet Speed, of course, phenomenal, and the Bucks had some great creativity with them. But one thing that Full Tilt Deb and I were talking about is Davis and Doyle. Doyle makes Davis complete, and we were saying this before. It's Mark Davis seemed lost without Kyle Fletcher. Kyle Fletcher has blossomed without Mark Davis, but Mark Davis has seemed lost without a tag team partner. And it's almost like Doyle, Jake something, has completed it's almost like they clicked together now. They almost work better than Aussie Open did. I mean, arguably, but I think that works great. And it's going to be interesting to see how this evolves. I mean, we might even get a finger poke of doom situation where, FTR has paid the Callis family a bunch of money to do a finger poke of doom. But I don't know. I thought the match was fantastic. Yeah, look here. Look how happy and complete Davis. What you don't see is Davis without either of these guys is lost. With
they tried a little bit of solo stuff, then he got hurt, then a little solo, and he got back. But he's a big, meaty, beefy man, and for him to be paired up with another big, beefy, meaty man and Doyle, it's going to be like a kind of an old school brawler tag team, and I like it. And Davis's pile driver finish is brutal. I mean, Kevin Knight sold that thing like his head was going to pop off his shoulders, and I like this pairing. It'd be interesting to see the Fletcher today and a Davis today tag up versus it's totally different than the Fletcher and Davis, 5 years ago. Totally different. But I think you're spot on, because these big beefy men are brutal. And this is the first time we've seen Jake Doyle in the ring in AEW, and he really impressed us all.
Now, these are two beefy, meaty men, right? I think based on my ear to the rumor mill, I would love to see these two beefy, meaty guys go to the butcher shop
Oh,
because Butcher and Blade are coming back soon, and I would love to see that Carnage emerge. So we'll see, but yeah, love it.
Where
and
was that?
Yeah,
I'm looking for that.
hold on.
Where was that? Right here. Oh,
Yep.
So
we can get into it if you want to talk about some of the moving and shaking.
Say their name and they will appear.
Yeah. So
rumor has
Butcher
it
and Blade,
that they're back.
Blade is cleared. He's had his spinal fusion fission flex capacitor surgery went very well. Allie has actually been seen in the independent circuit, and Penelope Ford is cleared. She's apparently wrestling with Megan Bain on Collision tomorrow night. Great news. But Butcher and Blade are back, and they need to be pushed as baby faces, because I think there actually are some good heel tag teams now. I'd like to see them collide with Doyle and Davis, but they don't even need to be baby faces. They just need to be like rogue, like just be kind of like that Moxley gray area. Just be these beasts, but I don't want them to be jobbers anymore. They need to come back with a vengeance. You might notice in this same graphic that the Inspiration, aka the Iconics, are free agents. Now, everybody's assuming they're going back to WWE. They even played at the recent TNA. They played their old Iconics music, but I've got my ear to the rumor mill, and I'm not saying take this to DraftKings or anything like for a parlay, but the Harley Cameron does their theme song, is the author to their theme song.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
She sings their theme song. She's actually even in their music video for their entrance music. And they're very close friends. There's a lot of their very close friends in AEW at this time.
Mm-hmm.
Although, of course, Ronnie, a.k.a. Sean Spears, is, of course, WWE.
Yeah.
I think now that AEW has a tag team division, I think it would be phenomenal for the Babes of Wrath to go face to face with the Iconics. And I think that what this is going to do is force AEW to present the women's tag team division more prominently. And I'd love to see that. I'd love to see that.
That would help the division so much, because you need to kind of establish separate stuff, such as establish your tag team division, because we have that in the men's. Establish your world title picture, because we have that on the other side of the coin. So having like established tag teams, I mean, we got High End Maya World, obviously we got the tag team champs, Sisters of Sin, Mega Bad. So adding these Inspiration, like that will allow us to have more non-title tag teams on the card week in and week out. So I would love that as an addition for the tag team division. And why not give us a shot? Why not give AEW a shot? Come on, let's see it. Speaking of women, let's talk about them. Trios match: the Triangle Madness versus the belt wearing ladies, the good girls, belt wearing ladies. I had kind of had a feeling this was going to be the result. I didn't think Tekla was going to pin Statlander, which that is kind of good storytelling, because it will ultimately lead to her getting a title shot, I think. Aha, I pinned you, bragging rights that. So we can see that maybe at Grand Slam next month, about a month from now, or draw it out to Revolution. But I'm all here for that, especially her being on Team SPD. Love the pairing of this. Just like looking at, these are just 6 of the core elements of the women's division. How do you feel about this match?
I love it. And Sky Blue has improved so much. She's great.
You're right.
I love the Triangle Madness trio there. Tekla's not going to win, but I think she's the best formidable opponent for Statlander at this time. As a K-pop Demon Hunters nerd, I did really like the K-pop Demon Hunter tribute, their hairstyles. Now, Willow didn't quite nail the Mira, but Statlander nailed the Zoe, and Harley Cameron definitely tried her best for the Roomy. Not necessarily didn't quite nail it completely, but
Yeah.
I appreciated the effort. However, I think they're more of like the Powder Puff Girls or whatever, Powerpuff Girls, the three of them. I love this trio. There's so much positivity here with these three.
Yeah.
Tony Khan, do not turn Statlander heel. Do not play with this chemistry here. I love the three of them. I think it's interesting that Willow is almost kind of the leader, even though Stat is the champion. Willow's also now the TBS champion. She is kind of the leader of this trio, and I think that's fine because not that Stat's good at promo. She's really improved a lot, but let all of them, this is such a great dynamic, not just with wrestling, but in presentation. Harley Cameron, of course, I mean, always entertaining, always fun. And I think this was such a great trio to present. And there's so many different directions everything can go. So interesting to see who Willow's next TBS challenger is going to be. With Mercedes taking time off, I think that's going to be interesting to see who steps up there. It's going to be great to see, but there's definitely room for the Iconics to come in and mix things up here with this crew.
I love it. I think this will hopefully pull away Statlander now to have more of a world title feud versus kind of this little segue trio stuff. It's been fun, feel good moments, but now you need to have that too many belts tied up with three women right now. So spread the wealth, spread the depth. And it'll be interesting that now that Mercedes Moné is taking time off or stepping away from AEW, I wonder what that means and how long that's going to last. So someone who's been such a pivotal part of it. Granted, she wouldn't be in any of these title scenes at the moment because she already lost the tag team title match, lost the TBS title, lost her world title shot match. So I guess it's good for her to regroup. But titles, we have Swerve confronting Jet Speed, which I thought that was going to be interesting. Maybe a trios team, but then Hangman recruits two guys in Jet Speed to face the current trios champions with the Ops on Collision tomorrow night. I thought it was kind of funny at first, but I thought Swerve was going to come back and they were going to kind of not fight, but like argue over, no, I want a team with them. No, you team with them. I want a team with them.
Yeah.
So it was going to be kind of like that. I didn't expect this just to be kind of a clean recruit on it. And so we're going to see the titles on the line for Collision, which obviously it's hard not to read the dirt sheets of what's going on. But
yeah. I mean, we're in mourning because 1/3 of the trios champions are going to be leaving AEW. I think you can kind of read the writing on the wall.
Let's talk about that.
Yeah.
So,
all right, go ahead.
Unofficially, we don't have the exact confirmation. Report is Will Hobbs is leaving AEW for WWE. Unofficially. So just like the whole Jericho rumor and stuff, like I'm holding my breath, crossing my fingers and toes, say it ain't so, that this is happening. But both guys are still, Jericho and Hobbs, both guys are still on the AEW roster page. So that's why I'm like, please no, please no, please no. Like, but if that's the case, like you touched on earlier, we got to say, man, from what we see to the left to him flying himself out to be an extra to being featured in the main title, main event scene on and off for the last year or so. And the growth that he's had from day one has been incredible. We've been fans of Will Hobbs since day one, and it's been so fun to support him and watch him grow in and out of the ring. He's been nothing but nice to his fans and us here at Dynamite Download. And we always will be a Will Hobbs fan no matter where he goes, and we appreciate it. And he's such a fun guy to root for and to watch on TV. And like I said, just such great growth over the last few years with him. And selfishly, we don't want to see him go anywhere but AEW because I do think he would be a world champion in AEW. And he's been featured, like I said, main feuds for a long time. He was a TNT champ, trios champ, fighting for titles, fighting with world title holders alongside, against them. And so he's been in and out of that top scene. It comes at a surprise. It really does. Unless that's been like a goal. I'm always nervous about any talent going over there. You know, first off, like Lucha Brothers, you know, Penta was okay, kind of a little bit I followed. There's people that if they go to WWE, I will continue to follow because of fans, such as like a Penta and Ray Phoenix. But, you know, Ricky Starks, when he left, I was bummed, but I wasn't going to follow him too much. Sean Spears, I wasn't going to follow him too much. Pillman. Cody is one of those I would. Hobbs is definitely one of those I will follow to see how he's booked and how he is in WWE. And of course, Jericho, if he goes back there, I will see what he does because I just love what Jericho does. But say it ain't so. I really hope this isn't the case.
I mean, we're AEW fans, so we're obviously bummed he's not going to be on our AEW screen. I just, you know, we're going to definitely keep track of him. To me though, it's bittersweet, and because I can't think of a more professional and, you know, personable athlete. He's, you know, he, like you said, with his fans, he's like that in the locker room. You know, he's going to be a positive influence wherever he goes. And
for sure,
this is one of those guys that I guarantee the moment he's done with WWE, if he picks up the phone and calls Tony Khan, Tony would be happy to talk to him. You know, this is not there are no burnt bridges here. There's no shenanigans. This is a guy that's ready to, you know, he's going to try the new waters. He may thrive. He might excel. He might find that tandem over there that works. Maybe he goes to NXT. Maybe he shows up in the Rumble against Braun Breaker.
There you go.
I mean, can you imagine Braun Breaker in the ring and then suddenly you hear pop, 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 pop. Of course, it's going to be probably Big Willie style. It'll probably
getting jiggy with it. Getting jiggy with it.
Jiggy with it. But I think he's going to do fantastic. I think it's going to be great. But I'd love to see him in a few years come back over to AEW. But you know, he's destined to shine wherever he's at, and I think I'm happy for him. I know.
I hope he comes back.
Yep.
Then gets pushed to the moon. Then wins that world title.
Comes back and wins the world title. He's got unfinished business in AEW.
Correct.
He's got unfinished business in AEW.
Just heartbreaking.
And with Full Tilt Dead as well.
Hey, free pass.
Yep. But
anyways, let's talk back of some good stuff. The main event. It's time for the main event.
Yes.
MJF versus Bandito. Wow. Talk about storytelling nonstop of this match.
Yeah.
And it's just so fun to watch Bandito because how passionate he is, how great he is in the ring, and how he just completely like gives it all the time. And so fun to watch. And I was curious how the matchups matchup was going to go, and how like if there's going to be chemistry and all that. And boy, did they deliver this main event. And I was really surprised how well MJF was with the storyline. You know, obviously he's everyone's scumbag, everyone's, you know, favorite heel, but he really sold this match very well. And I love the ending because what he had to say, kind of being the old babyface, putting him over, and then pretty much F you at the end. So it worked out great. Just as soon as you be like, oh, and then boom, F you pretty much. So I loved it. Great high spots. Bandito every single time. He's one of those wrestlers, we talk about it with like Sammy, where it's like every match is worth the price of admission anytime he's on the card. And that's why you go to live events. That's why you love wrestling. That's why you want to cheer for the most wanted man, Bandito, nonstop every single time. And the last year with him has been incredible. And I agree. And everyone, and I know you do, he is a future world champ in AEW. He's the Ring of Honor world champ, but in AEW, that's the next step. So he will. We talked about the three, Kenny, Swerve, and Hanger. Like, okay, they could be next champ. So could Bandito. So could Fletcher. So could Okada. So could Takeshita. So could Ospreay. It's like so many, and that's what you want. You don't want a company like, you know, WWE, you got a few top guys that are constantly just rinsing and repeating the title belt and stuff like that. So there's such a variety with this one. How did you like this match?
Oh, it's phenomenal. It was even though it was beyond my expectations, even though I was expecting a lot. I know MJF, there's MJF, and then there's Max, and Max knows how to be a great dance partner with everybody, and Bandito is just continues every match to just find something to make me go wow. And even though, like, every time, and because whether it's something with his strength, something like flippy do, something just persevering, the storytelling in the ring was phenomenal. Two great dance partners. I also love how the crowd was a little bit 50-50. Like, some of them were very supporting MJF at first. MJF knows how to just turn around and just, get them all booing him. You love to boo him, but yeah, he really took all that energy and really defined it so that they were consistently booing MJF and cheering Bandito. Bandito's such a likable hero. He's another one of those, like, he's up there with kind of like Willow, where it's hard to boo. It's hard to find anything to boo about him. He's such a great underdog and inspiration. He's such a wow wrestler. And at the end of this match, the outcome was exactly what we thought, but it was the match that was worth the watch, not the ending.
For sure.
And I'm not saying the ending was bad. It was good. It was the ending. It's what it should have been. But for just a moment, we got to see Max, not MJF, right at the end when he grabbed the microphone and he said it. And this is Max talking, not MJF. Yep. By the way, that badass entrance gear, by the way. Aztec,
for sure.
Aztec entrance gear. That was what are the twins? What are the Aztec twins? The legendary twins that, I don't know. There's some Aztec warrior twins that dress like that. Whatever. MJF showed Max for a second. Max got on the microphone and said, "Dude, you're going to be a future champion," and he's right. You're going to be a future AEW champion, not right now, but soon. And he's absolutely right. But then, of course, MJF had to take over the personality again and beat him up and go do the heel thing. And Brody King came in. But that was the locker room telling Bandito yes. And that was putting it in everybody's mind. That was basically Bandito's official moment that Swerve has had, Hanger has had. Arguably, Fletcher's getting there. That was the official nod from the locker room that, yes, dude, you're main event guy. You're a main event guy, dude. And that was the nod to Bandito that you've got that. I think Max is a locker room leader. Max is well respected in the AEW locker room. Max is a very good guy. MJF is a scumbag.
Yeah.
And MJF is who we need to see. But I think there is Max, who is actually a very positive influence on AEW. But Bandito was phenomenal, dude. Bandito was doing things, blowing my mind every time. Fantastic.
Every time he overhead presses someone and then overhead presses someone and does the one-handed thing, and then it's just so impressive. The one move I feel like quietly went under the radar was where he had MJF in the suplex position, and he was lifted or he was up, but he didn't like launch him to suplex. He like slowly lifted him up in the suplex. Like MJF's legs were barely on the ground. He just slowly lifted him up to a suplex. I'm like, damn, that's gotta be, because everyone suplexes with the momentum. And he already had him like halfway lifted and then finished the lift. I was like, damn, the strength for him, pound for pound, is so great. But yeah, we got that one dive from the top ropes over the barricade was incredible too. I don't know how some of those people in the front row were not standing up, marking out, but hey, I would have been screaming.
They had a weird front row. They had a weird, like, it was
For
like
sure.
some kind of barrier or something. There was like some kind of thing there or something. I don't know.
Yeah, they got it. It was like a pandemic front row where you don't want to get too close.
6 feet or something.
I agree.
I before we get into any closing out tonight, I do want to talk about another big some big signings as well. But yeah, I mean, what a great way to end the show, and definitely a coronation for Bandito to be welcomed into the main event sector.
Yeah, tell me about the Rascals. This announcement. So, do you know about them? Introduce them to me and enlighten me if you know about them, because it seemed like a big pop that was from the audience when they announced that.
Let's talk about 4 of AEW's new high flyer flippy do guys that they fly high and they wrestle high. So yes, I just had to create a super smoke party, if you will, for the Rascals. Now, the Rascals, 2 of the guys were in NXT for a while. Zachary Wentz wrestled as Nash Carter, and he was kind of he's kind of like I wouldn't say he's the leader, but he's kind of like one of the most popular of the guys. And they were all in TNA for quite a bit. Definitely huge high flyers. Also, you can kind of see that their theme, if you couldn't tell by the smoke, they kind of have a high flying theme where Private Party was more about shots. These guys are more about hits, if you will. But these guys are 4 top high flyers. When you're already adding Mascara Dorada, you've already got you've got like Jet Speed, you've got all these luchadors, you've got all these like you got the Young Bucks. Bringing these 4 young guys in that are just they're just maniacs in the air.
Right,
it's going to be fantastic. Like I said, Zachary Wentz, he wrestled as Nash Carter in WWE. He's going to be kind of one of the most standouts. The other one, Desmond, he wrestled as Wes Lee in NXT, but Desmond Xavier, he's another one that's going to be one to watch. But probably the one that I think has had the most notoriety is Trey Miguel. And Trey Miguel hasn't been as much as the others, but he's been kind of a TNA standout, and he's one that I could see. Like I could see some of these guys going for adding to the tag team division. I'm going to love to see any combination of these 4. Myron's the only one I'm not as familiar with as the other 3, but any combination of these 4 taking on the Bucks, taking on Jet Speed, taking on totally the Demand. I'd love to see the Demand feud with these guys. I mean, just anything. It's going to be fantastic to see. All I got to say is, if you like the high flying flippy do stuff,
which I do,
these are the guys. These are your guys. These are going to be your guys, and just inserting them into this mix is going to be just for some great high flying action. You're going to love them. Just like I was hyping up Speedball and Kevin Knight.
Right.
When they came in, they have delivered. These guys are going to deliver too.
I can't wait. I mean, the hype is there. I was trying to scroll through a little bit of social and see some of their videos and all that, and I'm excited. I'm curious of how it's going to be. And
Courtney in the chat's big fan. She knows about him. Yeah, just Courtney in the chat. Just in your opinion, do you think we're in for some high flying? Yeah, she knows Myron Reed from the Indies too. Yeah, she says floppy do. It's flippy do, but yeah.
Do you want to see them do they typically fight in fours, or do they kind of spread it out, trios, tag, and so forth?
I think kind of like Death Riders.
Okay.
You know, I mean, it's any combination. But they're the four of them are going to be like a hard. They're going to be a stable that you can't break up. But it's going to be like you'll probably see. Arguably, I bet you'll see Zachary and Desmond. I don't know. You know, it's going to be. I don't want to say. It could be any. They're because they've been to different combinations of NXT and TNA tag team champions. It was only Zachary and Desmond that were in NXT, but as Wesley and Nash Bridges or something. But I think you can see any combination going for tag titles. I could see trios. There would be a phenomenal trios. I mean, just sky's the limit with these guys. Of course, you know how I feel about the Iconics. Of course, you know how I feel about Butcher and the Blade. Look at these signings. It's official. Hechicero, the Wizard, is now Hechicero. Yo soy AEW.
All three getting the official All Elite, which we knew Hechicero was pretty much All Elite all along. But for Mascara Dorado and
Persephone,
you know, she's a beast and awesome to the little we've seen her in AEW. Great that they're able to do these co-contracts and be official with AEW and still with CMLL. So a lot of additions, a couple subtractions so far this year. And it's just still bittersweet if it does happen to two of some of my favorites that they officially go over to the Fed. But you threw in this slide here, and you know, talk to me about what are these slides.
All right. I definitely want to. I'm sure we both have some thoughts on the slide on the right there, but on the left, Chelsea Green in a recent interview, Denise Salcedo was talking about how she knows it probably angers at WWE, but she doesn't care. And this is another reason why I love her. She's fantastic. Is that, you know, she immediately, if someone gets let go from WWE, she's the first to hand them all her contacts. You know, everybody she knows at AEW, at TNA, and here and there and everywhere. I guarantee she's already put the Iconics in touch with Tony Khan and everything. But she's the first to go, hey, you know, she's married to the indie god, who, of course, I guess apparently is back with WWE, but still, you know, he's Edge's bitch. But still, I love that this is how it should be. And like, I love that this is another part of that, just like with Will Hobbs. I foresee us getting to a point, and it's up to WWE, because I feel like Tony Khan has kind of moved on. He's kind of like he's kind of like where WWE's like the crazy ex that keeps trying to stay relevant. And Tony Khan has kind of moved on. He's like, yeah, okay, whatever. I'm going to just focus on my company and my product and move forward. And this is, I think Chelsea Green and Will Hobbs are kind of are examples of how things should be and maybe will be in the future, that it isn't such as much a competition, that there's a much more of a, hey, okay, you're no longer with WWE. There's a place for you now where you can go, and you're not just the indies. You can still, as her husband has proved, you can make a name for yourself in the indies. Heck, KJ Orso is made a bigger name for himself on the indies than Fuego del Sol. I mean, you could argue that Joey Janela, whatever, but also that being able to have that freedom to just, okay, here's a number, talk to this guy. You might be on AEW next week. You might be in TNA next week. You know, you might be on NWA next week, whatever, MLW. I love that there's a lot of this negotiation there. And I think that Chelsea just being open about it, you know, it would be criminal for WWE to in any way punish her for saying this. I mean, because I mean, it's to me, it's bettering the business as a whole.
For sure, 100%.
It opens so many opportunities. I mean, we could see a day. I don't think Kenny will ever set foot in WWE, but I would love for it to have that Kenny versus Roman Reigns match, just to finally settle that, have that one once and done. One, pigs fly, hell freezes over match. Kenny versus Roman Reigns. Have some of those moments where you're like, have the Royal Rumble. Have a couple AEW guys show up Royal Rumble just for the Royal Rumble to kind of surprise people. Speaking of which, it does seem like it's official that Edge wants to retire in AEW. As Adam Copeland, maybe he'll retire as Edge, whatever. But it does sound like he wants to wrestle his last match at Wrestle Dream 2026. And
see, this is like the thing about social, like who's coming up with these rumors in this scuttlebutt, and it seems so soon. So it's like, how do you believe it?
You have to be careful, but it's just
the
like
sources. Like, I don't get it. Like, I'm not buying it. I personally am not. Yes, he's 52 years old, but he has been doing some great stuff. We don't know how his body feels, but it just seems too early. He's not being featured right now, so he's going to already announce his retirement 9 months from now.
I don't think he's announcing it, but I think this is kind of the negotiation. And again, right. It's the dirt sheets. They're always it's the same people saying that Mox was going to go back and be Dean Ambrose, but there's a lot of people saying that Edge is going to show up in the Royal Rumble, and that there's a lot of this stuff going on. You don't believe it till you see it, but when you also, it's kind of like being a critical thinker with the regular news media is you got to go to those the folks that have been shooting about 70-80% right. You kind of can put a little more stock in those folks than the ringworm news. Ringworm news, they're just throwing stuff at the wall, and once in a blue moon something sticks. So you're like, whatever, I don't, okay, whatever. But if you parse that with just kind of who he is as a wrestler, I don't think he's going to go back to WWE at all. I think he is going to retire in AEW. Whether or not it happened, whether or not he's done, and let's be honest, how many wrestlers are done and then show up again? Ric Flair, look at Flair. He's 90 million years old and he's still showing up at stuff. But I parse this with how happy Edge, Adam Copeland, has been since coming to AEW. Every interview, every time he's doing press, every time he's on the scrum, he's grinning ear to ear. He's getting the Edge and Christian ending that he wants. He's taking care of whatever he's got to do, but I do think it's that's what they're setting up. They're going to set up that Edge and Christian run with FTR,
right?
And we're going to have that. We're going to have that Edge farewell. But you're right about the dirt sheets. You can only believe what you want. I do think though that it's kind of kismet that Wrestle Dream 2026 is going to be where it's located. So take it for what it is.
I think the other side of the coin could be the case where that's where they win the titles.
Yeah.
Doesn't have to be our retirement. It could be a catapult where they win.
Yeah, we thought, didn't we think that Toronto All Out or Toronto was where they originally, but maybe something came up. But yeah, I do think they're going to win the titles in Canada in some way. That's got to be how it happens. Absolutely.
Top performers of the night. I went with Toa Leona. He had a awesome 2 weeks of wrestling with some incredible stuff. The guy did a freaking backflip onto the ground onto some of the guys. It popped Ricochet on commentary too.
Yeah,
it was pretty funny to pop. But man, the guy, like you touched base on earlier with the GOA, like this team has been having quite the run over the last 6 to 9 months and really establishing themselves as a force in the tag division in AEW. So not only you could tell like their in-ring stuff is improving, their physical stuff, they're looking great and adding more to their arsenal. Ricochet's maybe teaching them how to flip. So it's been fun to watch. So got to give props to Toa Leona, man. Great stuff.
Love him. I think the entire demand are elevating each other. Like all three of them. Like Ricochet, you know how I feel about Ricochet. Fantastic heel, love him. He's great. Blah blah blah. Accolade. But all three of them have elevated each other. This has been such a great, like symbiosis with them. And yes, Toa Leona totally deserves the top performer pick for you because he was on my short list. I always have to always have to bring up Bishop Khan because I feel like, it's kind of like Bishop Khan is fantastic, but Toa Leona, it's like, okay, like I want to make sure that Bishop gets his flowers. Toa Leona is so fantastic. He's such a great character. He has toned up. He has defined. I love seeing when wrestlers find their stride, find their persona, find their character, find their place, and elevate it. And AEW allows that. It is much more of a meritocracy than WWE. And I feel like I love that Toa Leona has really established himself. I mean, he's another one of those wrestlers, yet, he's a heel, and Ricochet's definitely a heel and is in charge. But Toa Leona has established himself as almost Haku level.
Right.
Like if you know the stories of Haku, the shoot stories about Haku, you know what kind of badass he is. But Haku, when he was in Colossal Connection, when he was Ming in WCW, he had that badass, don't mess with the Islander vibe. And Toa Leona's kind of got that. And I love seeing that. I love seeing him on there. I think hands down, he's fantastic. I just have to go with my guy Bandito. Like Toa Leona,
hard not to.
In the last 6 to 9 months, and I'm glad you said 6 to 9 months and not 6-7 months. But I had to go with Bandito because of everything. He always finds a way to wow me. He always, as much as he continues, he does have some of the same moves. He finds a way with his dance partners. He finds a new way to wow me. He finds a way to impress, whether it's strength, flips, whatever. Always phenomenal. So I had to go with Bandito, even though I give you a ton of props for your pick for Toa Leona. I totally get it. So yeah, 2 great top performers.
Yes, absolutely, man. And I'm going to keep track. I'm going to keep a folder on my desktop of all of our top performers, and we're going to, at the end of the year, see who won their rankings. But speaking of rankings, after week 1, Brent is sitting at the top with 4 points of our draft. I was really thankful and crossing my fingers that I wasn't getting goose egged week 1 because I was like, oh no, I had 0 zeros, and then
nobody goose egg. Yeah.
Doyle got me a point, and
good pick there, though.
Tekla got me a point. So I was like, whew. But yeah, this is it, man. Brent's leading the charge. I'm excited for season 8 kicked off, and it is just begun. We'll text out or we'll post the standings as they stand after Collision on Saturday, the updated results, and see where we're at. Could be a new leaderboard after that on that one. But I'm excited.
I just after that draft, I actually feel very good about the pairings. Full Tilt Deb wants to know if she can make her swap out Hobbs now. Or
no, you got to wait till he's officially signed because that's still rumors. There's nothing confirmed. You can't take PW whatever and Fightful. You got to take him for a grain of salt as well.
The moment he shows up on TV.
Yes, moment he shows up on TV and or he's off the AEW roster because he is still on the AEW roster.
Yeah, because it's the Andrade thing. I mean, we got to the moment Andrade showed up at what's it called, then you can make the plus you want to kind of see some of these new faces, see how that, if Persephone comes in and starts dominating.
True.
I can't wait till he gets signed. I know. But maybe you want to have he may have a 60-day thing.
That's true because then by then
but if it's a 60-day thing, then the draft will be up. it'll be
or
season
the plus
9.
2 will be after. Less than a
He
month.
doesn't
plus
have a
2's away.
60-day. No, his contract expired. He doesn't have. AEW doesn't have the no compete 60-day. That
they're not
only
evil like
happens
the
to me.
Fed.
I understand that only happens when they like if you're let go from somewhere. Like if you're let go and you've got time on your contract with AEW. Where WWE, they've got that sneaky little thing in there.
Right.
With Will Hobbs, the moment your contract expires on a Wednesday, you can show up on Friday at SmackDown.
Yeah, that's pretty crazy.
So we'll see.
Great.
But
all right, guys. Thanks for joining us on a special Friday night show.
I love you, babe, but them's the rules. You got to wait till he shows up. Well, the rules suck. I hear you, but them's the rules. It's got to be fair. And
that's right.
Again, like Courtney's saying, wait and see. Be a scouter. See what happens. See, you might all of a sudden, Angelico might start going on a winning streak, and you might want to say, "Oh, yeah. I'm gonna get him." Plus, you want to scout out these rascals and see if one of them.
Oh yeah, the rascal too. Good point.
You might get a rascal,
because they could have been all 4 picked in our draft.
Absolutely.
All right, guys. Have a great weekend.
We love you too, Courtney. Scout my ass.
Have a good weekend, folks. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you on Thursday for DD229, baby.
Have a great weekend, everybody. Thank you, Martin Luther King.
Stop.